All right, hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Hala Pablo. Thank you for tuning in. Let's look at Bitcoin and let's look at Zcash a little bit. Bitcoin over here on the left here, yeah, we're still in that same kind of pocket here, right above the 200 SMA. Got the 400 beneath it. We got this magic pocket. This is where I think we're going to enter into eventually. Now, look at all these buying climaxes here. Actually, we'll call this a buying climax. We'll call this line here from this system the buying climax. And actually, we'll bring this up here a little bit more. And then here's another buying climax here. So we got three buying climaxes. Notice that the price action comes back down to mitigate the prior buying climax, like here, and it just happens to be, lo and behold, on the 400. So here and then here, it's just kind of inevitable that that's what it does. Now, usually the second time around, when the price is coming back down to retest the 200, that's when it goes into the 400, into this pocket here that you see between the 200 and the 400, and then it usually gets down pretty close to, if not actually touching, the 400, as we saw here and here. Something like that can very well happen in this range. If it were to happen, it would bring it down to around 98, between 98 and 95 Gs. This small reaccumulation range right here, this is something that we could revisit. If you remember in my last video, we talked about the old CME gap. It's going to be around here in this area between 95 and 93. So yeah, that's unfinished business. That's an unmitigated or unfulfilled gap. And so anywhere within this area here is something that would not be out of the norm for us to come back and visit. Of course, with Bitcoin, the big question is: Are we going to bounce? Are we going to bounce off this this old buying climax line and flip it, as it were, to support and launch up from another leg from there? It seems to be something that is looking like it's doing, especially where this line here is coinciding with the 200 SMA, this area here, this sweet spot, and it looks like we got a little bit of a rally, a little bit of a bounce. But to tell you the truth, guys, the bounce is really not that spectacular. I mean, this isn't very impressive, this little thing here. Especially, I mean, like the demand is pretty meager. You would expect more demand from here if the bulls had intentions to go up and make another all-time high from this area. So what I'm kind of projecting, what I'm thinking, the way I'm leaning is there's going to be a little bit more of a consolidation here, and I think if the bulls don't pick up their game and flip this thing conclusively with volume confirmation, then we're going to slip under the 200. We're going to kind of do like what we did here and what we did here as well. Always after an all-time high, it seems like it goes back down to retest the pocket between the 200 and the 400. We did it here, and we very well may do it here. I think we will. We look at the cumulative value days destroyed, and these are the areas where the 400, between the 400 and the 200 that we just looked at up here. That would be the bottoms of these areas right here in this structure. So as you can tell, the price action looks like it's kind of headed that way. If we were to call this kind of like a symmetrical, or like maybe even like an ascending triangle. Usually what happens is the price action comes back down to form the last bounce of this, and then it marks back up. That would make perfect sense, hitting the 400 again, the 95 to 93 Gs, somewhere around there. This isn't really, as far as the Z-score goes, this isn't really hot enough to signify a top like here, like these areas here. So yeah, I still think we have more wiggle room to go, and that could shoot us up back up to the 1618 fib or even the 2618 fib, somewhere between 130, 150,000. I know people are thinking more higher, 200. You know, that's I guess possible, but like realistically, 130, we can make another stab at the top of this range here, and that would, you know, for that to happen, we would have to mark up out of this TR, and we're going to need a lot. We're going to need explosive volume to precipitate that, to propel that up to those heights. So we don't see that right now, but usually what happens is there's a shakeout before the launch, and like here we could have a shakeout, a deep shakeout, and that would shake out retail in the weekends and in preparation for the next big launch like this here, like we saw here. See how there was a shakeout here, and then before it made this other all-time high, we had a shakeout down at 76. That was the bottom that I missed last time. I thought I was going to go lower. So if we do get down into the sweet spot between the 100,000 and say 93,000, then we're going to definitely be this area, this 400 SMA is going to become a real area of interest for us to keep eyes on. And so, but right now we're still above the 200, but we're kind of like these efforts here, you know, not a lot of demand coming in, much more supply. We have the supply predominance here that brought us down to the simple moving average, and now we need demand to come in to kind of boost us back up. The only problem is demand isn't coming in sufficiently enough to kind of persuade me that going down beneath the 200 is out of the question. I still think it's a viable play, and that's what I'm looking for. Now with Zcash, I know I haven't done a video on Zcash in a while. I was preaching Zcash really when no one else was preaching Zcash about 6 months ago, and I told you guys about that macro cup and handle. Remember, you can go back and find the video, and I said Zcash was going to shoot. The thing is, you just don't know when. You know, just like Jesse Livermore said, you know, patience is everything. Just because you see a pattern play out, it doesn't mean you jump into it at that right at that moment. You see patterns, prices are making familiar bull patterns or bear patterns. It doesn't mean that you get in at that moment. It still takes time, and the markets reward those that are patient. And so those that were patient and kind of got in down here where that macro cup and handle was, congratulations. So, but that's already yesterday's news, and now we look and see what is going on now with Zcash. Another thing that Jesse Livermore said is that after a stock or commodity or an index or whatever makes a high, has a significant pump, and then it has a reasonable retrace, not a deep retrace, but a reasonable retrace. He said you should go ahead and buy that. That's what he says. So we see that happen here. We came back down, and those who bought this automatic rally, or this would be like an automatic response, had a sweet deal, right? And so now we look and see where we are now, and boom, we kind of had the same thing here. This was a reasonable automatic response from this high that we did here. So now we're coming back up again to retest, to, as it were, mitigate, kind of like it did here, to remitigate. And so this area, this order block here, is looking to be flipped. And if it can be flipped, then I would say Zcash is looking to make another leg up. We can measure the fibs from this first reaccumulation and see, let's do a fib extension. I think these are going to the 2618s, I think. So yeah, you can see here, this is basically, it's at the 2 right now. So a little bit past the 2618, these things are shooting up after these reaccumulations. So that's what brought it up to 266. We're at 272 right now from this prior reaccumulation. So let's, using that same metric, let's go off the current one, assuming that this is going to put up another leg. We go off the low from the buying climax back down in the 2618. from here is $468, or I'm sorry, $471.68. So somewhere between the 272, the 433, and 471 is if we're able to, if buyers come in and step up the game right here at the old buying climax and flip this area to support, we can reasonably see Zcash hitting these levels, the $470 somewhere, for between $433 and $470. So anyway, that's what I'm looking at. We go down here to the STH. NUPL, short-term holders. NUPL stands for net unrealized profit losses. We see that the NUPL line is still yellow, and it's turning upside now. It looks like it's gathering momentum, and the smooth moving average here is red. But if this NUPL line continues to rise, then we're going to get a double yellow in the STH NUPL, and that usually signifies more of a see, like we saw that here, more of a pickup, more of a liftoff, more of a markup. So yeah, it's looking strong. It's looking strong. So all eyes are on Zcash is up 15%, and everything else is not looking good, not looking too good. Everything's basically contingent on Bitcoin's price trajectory for now, until Bitcoin begins to lose dominance once again and goes and consolidates, which is what we may see if we fall into this pocket and Bitcoin takes a timeout, goes into the timeout corner. And then we could see like other alts, maybe not so much Zcash, because Zcash already had its fun, so it's going to be time to take profit at some point with Zcash. But certainly many of these other altcoins like Solana, like XRP, like XLM, Onyx Coin, some of these, we could see these begin to heat up and rally and take off in their own trajectory, spin off and start making some fantastic gains. Certainly that's what I'm going to be looking at, and if I see anything out of the ordinary, I'll let you know. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe if this sort of technical analysis is interesting to you, and I hope to have some more videos up soon. Hopefully the sound quality in this video is all right. I apologize. I don't know. I've had problems with the synchronization on these videos, and my old hard drive got fried out. I had to replace a lot of stuff and camera, and nothing's really worked right since then. The audio and all that, since like early summer. So since like June or July. So anyway, I'm still dealing with it. I appreciate your patience and understanding. But anyway, okay, none of this is financial advice, but you already knew that. All right, guys, God bless. Love you all. Talk to you soon. Stay close to Jesus. Amen. Adios. Love you guys. Bye-bye.